Hello, and welcome to Hell's Gate Podcast. I'm Anthony Militello.
This is Dominick Panetta. How you doing? Welcome to the greatest podcast of all time.
The greatest podcast of all time.
Episode
1.
Episode 1, the beginning of the legacy.
Yeah.
That will be the story of Anthony Militello, Dominick Panetta, Hell's Gate Podcast.
I'm sure once we get huge, there will be a different name that gets put on us.
Yeah, it's kind of a blasphemous. It's blasphemy, Hell's Gate Podcast.
Hey, but,
blasphemy.
we like it, I like it, he likes it, so we're going to stick with it for now.
You like it. You like that.
I like
You
that.
like that.
I like that. I love that. So let's hop right into it. Why don't we, huh?
All right, I'm down for that.
So we're going to start out with the absolutely horrendous, that is the best word to describe it, horrendous writing by WWE officials.
Writing, booking, whatever, anything wrestling, they're not doing right now.
At all. And I have 2 words to summarize that up very well with how bad their writing is. Roman Reigns.
They have completely squandered the potential that is Roman Reigns. Our good friend Tony here was just about to tell you that Roman Reigns initially sucked. He was terrible on the mic.
Yeah.
Not that great in the ring. He had the John Cena 6-move syndrome.
Yes, he did. I mean, he still kind of does.
Yeah, kind of, but he's been putting on good
getting
matches
better.
until he got leukemia.
Yeah.
Well, you know.
Prayers up to him for real, Roman.
Thoughts and prayers to Roman.
Come back soon. Hey, there's a guy that we love to hate. It's him.
Yeah.
Everybody loved but hated John Cena. So
Exactly.
they're putting him into that role. And personally, why I used him as my example for the terrible booking and writing is because, no offense to him, he's good, but John Cena was at least an extremely charismatic guy, was phenomenal on the mic, so it made up for his subpar wrestling ability in the ring.
Well, I think the biggest issue with Roman is they tried to make him John Cena, and he's just not John Cena.
He's not.
He's
needed
Roman
Reigns.
In my opinion, they could have kept him in the his Shield mode where he was silent enforcer type.
Oh, yes.
I think he definitely could have gotten over, kind of like a
He
little bit
was.
like Braun Strowman has. He kind of got over as that silence.
He was very over with the fans when he was in the Shield playing that role. The second the Shield broke up, every single WWE fan, you must have been stupid if you didn't know that they were going to push this guy to the roof.
Yeah, he literally
immediately.
through the roof.
And for some people that was great. They thought it was great. But the way they go about things, especially with that, was just horrendous.
It was blatantly disrespectful to the fans, especially now they're in like this WWE fans, and I'm not trying to hate on anybody, right? But they're in this weird mode where anybody that WWE pushes, besides Daniel Bryan, because they forced them to push him, they just immediately hate because of Roman.
Yeah.
It's because of the way Roman was written, and now that he's actually kind of decent on the mic, decent in the ring. Before his unfortunate departure due to leukemia, the fans still hated him, and they weren't willing to give him the respect because of the way he was booked. He kicked out of everything. You know, it was just very unfortunate that what happened to him.
WWE, I think, got that standard from John Cena, or WWE fans, I apologize, got that standard of what you're talking about from John Cena, because I think that's where it started.
Oh, for
I
sure.
think he was the first product of, it was more of like an experiment for them to where he's a homegrown WWE guy. He's never been anywhere else. We're going to try to push this guy to the roof because he looks like freaking Hercules.
Well, they did it with Hogan to an extent. They definitely did it with Hogan, but I think Hogan was more natural because the crowd and the fans alike were willing to love him.
The product at that time was very fresh and very new, so having a guy like that running the helm was perfect. I think at that time, you know, I mean, if a guy like Hogan he got better in the ring as time went on, but if you like early Hogan, if they would have pushed a guy like that in today's, he would be absolutely hated.
Especially
by WWE
today,
fans,
for sure.
Especially today.
Hogan was charismatic enough, I think,
yes.
to completely especially for the time. Like
Yeah,
if you
for the
put his screamy, strange promos in today's WWE, I don't think they'd hold up as well.
No.
But I still think he might get over because he's Hulk Hogan. There's just like an aura about those guys. John Cena, Hulk Hogan, The Rock, Stone Cold. They all have Bret Hart, even to an extent. They all have an aura about them that like makes you want to love them. CM Punk.
Good old CM.
You either love him or you hate him, and there's really no in between. You're getting
Edge
even to a lesser extent as well. They're just impressive in all facets of the word.
The fans, I mean, at least in my opinion, I know some fans are different on what they look for and what they like in a WWE superstar, but a guy like Edge, a guy like CM Punk, a guy like RVD, a guy like Chris Jericho, guys like that who Vince doesn't want to. Daniel Bryan, guys who don't want to, or guys that Vince do not want to push to the roof.
They're not prototypical.
Yeah, but they are just so damn good that they get pushed to the roof. Are those guys that you are behind, and that's Absolutely. At least how I've been. And I love a good wrestler. I do. Oh, same. And I don't think it's completely stupid that Vince thinks it should be a jacked, like, huge-looking guy being the champions in the WWE and the face of the company. Like, I like that, but they got to be able to wrestle, man. That's all. How do you explain
the booking of Strowman then? Because he's just been they started to push him real strong, and it was great.
That's another.
And then they didn't put the strap on him, and now nobody cares.
Yeah, and now
like he's still over because he's Braun Strowman, but now he's hurt and he's going to lose support, and it's just a rough time because they should have just put the strap on him in the beginning.
I agree.
After he
100%.
After his first match with Brock, honestly, I think they could have made him champion then, and it would have been great.
I always said, I mean, my liking for Roman has gone up as time goes on because he's getting a lot better, and it's very noticeable. But what I thought should have happened is at SummerSlam, where Roman won, I think that should have been Braun Strowman in that ring with Brock Lesnar. I think Braun Strowman should have annihilated him. And then they have another opportunity here at Crown Jewel that just happened, which was a disaster of a pay-per-view for one. And they had him get squashed by, what was it, like 6 F5s, 5 F5s?
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
It was absolutely absurd.
There's no reason for it. I mean, other than the fact that there must be something going on behind the scenes that they think he can't carry the company.
There is one last chance they have in this guy right now, and if they squander it, then I don't know what's going to happen to him. You can't put a guy like that on SmackDown. It's just not how the landscape of the brand is right now. SmackDown is the guys that can wrestle very, very well, but sometimes those guys have subpar promo work. But all the guys on SmackDown are great wrestlers. Raw is those big juice heads that Vince loves. So where I'm going with that is if Braun Strowman, he has his last opportunity. It's TLC. It's him. It's supposed to be him versus Baron Corbin. They're saying Braun's injured. Everybody knows he's injured. They're saying he will be back. It's supposed to be Braun Strowman versus Baron Corbin. If Braun Strowman wins, he faces Brock Lesnar at the Royal Rumble. If Baron wins, he's the permanent general manager, which is a load of crap. But I mean,
I like Constable Baron Corbin, honestly. I think he's done a fine job for what the hand he's been dealt.
Yeah.
I think that is the biggest waste of a gimmick in WWE history.
Yeah.
The end of days Baron Corbin gimmick. I think that look, that music, that finisher would have been perfect on someone else.
Anybody.
He's just not charismatic. He's not. He's just not that world-ending.
No.
You know, he kind of reminds me, like, that gimmick kind of reminds me like a modern, not Undertaker, because that's kind of. You remember Chuck Palumbo when he came out on the motorcycle and everything?
Yeah.
Just like the badass. The badass wrestler.
That was another good
everyone...
gimmick that they squandered with a good old subpar wrestler.
Chuck Palumbo. Yeah.
But back to what I was saying, Braun Strowman though, if he wins, which I'm assuming he would, if he doesn't, that's absurd at that point. Like they just need to fire every writer in WWE. If he wins, he faces Brock Lesnar. I think right there, that match at the Royal Rumble is the very last opportunity to keep Braun Strowman on the top of the mountain. If he loses, I don't see what goes on after that. If he goes on and loses that match, and then say Brock loses the strap to anybody, I can't think of someone at this time, like Seth Rollins, for example. I'll just say which won't
Drew
happen.
McIntyre, Seth Rollins,
literally
anyone.
And say Braun goes on to beat that guy. I mean, I think that still it brings down his value quite a bit.
It's already gone down. It reminds me what's happening with Braun right now. This is a weird comparison. You're not going to get it at first, but Broken Matt. When Matt Hardy came to the WWE, he was so over. He was literally so over. And delete. But when he got there, like, they decided not to use the broken gimmick. They were going to do the nostalgia tour, quotation marks, that they love to do, and it completely ruined the gimmick by the time he actually became broken because no one cared at that point.
No one did.
And then they literally, and they didn't even use broken. They said woken. Oh, woken Matt Hardy. Like, you couldn't have done that from the beginning when it was over. They completely ruined it.
Even if they would have started him out at Woken, I just still think fans who are actual fans for the company would have just thought that was a joke right from the beginning. And I thought it was a joke right from the beginning.
Well, they would have got. My point is, they would have gotten it eventually. They would have caught onto the wave. Like,
I hope so.
That was so over in TNA, and it was so over when they got there.
The only over thing about
the in between thing killed it. If he would have just came back as Matt Hardy, the brother of Jeff Hardy, Hardy Boys Matt Hardy, then it would have been fine. If he would have come back as Woken, quotation marks, Matt Hardy, it would have been fine.
Yeah.
But he came back as a mix between both with the hair and everything, but he was still just Matt. Like, it was just absurd, and it was just squandered potential on both ends. Mm-hmm. It was just very unbelievable, and like, not that the broken gimmick is believable, but you get what I'm saying. It was
the only thing that was over when they changed him to Woken was the delete chant. That was literally the only thing over.
And then they made him do the laugh literally all the time.
And the bad part about it is he lost every single solitary match he was in, pretty much, when he became Woken. So they squandered that completely. But I get the comparison. I think it's to a lesser extent, though, because Braun Strowman...
my point was just over in the beginning, progressively getting less and less over with each passing day.
There's a lot of guys like that. Bray Wyatt, even.
Plenty people.
WWE finds a way to do it a lot. So Finn Balor's one of them.
Oh,
I think.
Poor Finn Balor.
Yeah.
One of the best in the world, wrestling-wise. He is incredible. Incredible. I'm just trying to be Prince Devitt, man. That's all.
He's great, and I think he should be a future world champion, but I doubt it'll happen. So, speaking of future, what do you think the future direction of this company is about to be?
Well, obviously, I wish it would go to Shane, because if Shane doesn't have the respect of everyone in the locker room for all the crazy bumps he takes, then I don't know what the hell.
I don't know what he would have
him.
to do to get respect at that point, because that man's insane.
I think it should go to Shane, but we all know where it's going. It's going to Hunter and Stephanie.
Yeah, I don't have a huge problem with Triple H running the company.
No, he's doing
a great job with NXT.
Absolutely.
But for some reason, I just have a bad feeling to where if the company got handed to him, I feel like it just wouldn't be the same. I feel like maybe I could be dead wrong. He could do great with the main roster.
Booking-wise, yes. But I think he's going to try and include his wife way too much, which is the problem now.
Yeah,
Stephanie's the creative director of opera, whatever the hell her title is.
She's the
director of creative things. And the writers she hired are all soap opera terrible writers.
Yeah,
that is a problem.
Hopefully Triple H can have a way bigger influence than we think on that, and it could be like the storylines and like the booking and who's champion and who's not on the main roster when he takes over, if he does, because he does a great job with NXT.
NXT is phenomenal. Phenomenal.
The only reason people do not understand how great NXT is because not everybody has a network. If NXT was on national TV, I can almost guarantee you it would have a bigger viewership than Raw or SmackDown, because the guys on there create real storylines, real feelings towards storylines. These storylines I see on Raw and SmackDown, they're laughable. I laugh at them.
The promos,
I don't get
everything
involved. And obviously, when you're a younger kid, you're going to be more involved in the storylines. But as you grow older, you gotta appeal the storylines to everybody. And Triple H's storylines on NXT are very believable, and you can connect to them very well.
They're simple. They're real simple.
Everybody. Yeah, like Gargano and Ciampa's storyline was absolutely amazing. That whole saga was great.
And they just let him wrestle over there. Yeah. That's my biggest thing. They just let him wrestle. Yes. I just watched the other night a match between Velveteen Dream and I know that was a few episodes ago, but I'm a little bit behind on NXT. I've watched an episode where it was in the main event, Velveteen Dream, Lars Sullivan. It was a good match. And Lars can't really... He's not the best in the ring right now.
No.
He has his moments, but like Velveteen's amazing. His gimmick's great, which I know they're going to squander on the main roster.
Yeah, Lars is getting pulled up to the main roster. I've been seeing vignettes.
Yeah, they keep canceling it.
Yeah, I've been seeing vignettes on Raw of him being pulled up, and I think it's a horrible decision right now.
He's not ready.
He's not ready. And what are they going to do with him? I guarantee what happens to Lars Sullivan. Hear me out here. This is my prediction. Lars Sullivan's going to get to the main roster, and he is going to have a feud with Jinder Mahal.
You think he's going to have a feud with Jinder Mahal?
The modern-day Maharaja, Jinder Mahal. They're going to use him as that like introduction feud to say that he's going to get over by beating a guy like Jinder Mahal. Jinder Mahal...
Former WWE champion Jinder Mahal.
God bless the man, but that is the worst WWE champion I've ever seen in my life. It was a good experiment. It was good to try, but they kept the strap on the man for like 6 months, and after the first month, everyone realized that he sucked more than we already did.
They always talk about people who don't draw. Jinder Mahal did not draw.
Not at all.
I mean, maybe from India. That was a great idea.
Exactly. I am very happy with WWE trying that because they have never tried something that unorthodox in years. And I was like, wow, maybe something great is going to come from this. Maybe Jinder's going to be way bigger than we thought, way better than we thought, and they're going to start pushing guys to the moon that should be pushed to the moon. But no, they squandered it completely.
What Jinder Mahal is best known for at this point is the Jeff Hardy botch at the Greatest Royal Rumble.
Oh my God.
With him just he completely blew that.
Yeah.
Like if you don't, you just got to have that ring awareness as a professional wrestler to where you have to work it out if something doesn't go to plan. You can't just try and just fake it and fix it when it's so obviously gone wrong.
Yeah, definitely. 100%.
You just got to know to reset, brush it off like he didn't hit you. You guys, if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, there was a spot where Jeff Hardy went up for the Whisper in the Wind, which is one of his signature moves. He went up, came up the top rope, did the thing, and Jinder, it completely missed. And the announcers had to try and cover it up because Jinder Mahal just randomly fell backwards like it hit him when it clearly didn't.
Like 3 seconds after
from
he did
the
it,
best camera angle, you could tell there was a foot of space between them.
Yes.
And he just fell back, and I think Corey Graves was like, "Oh, the wind must from the Whisper in the Wind must have hit Jinder."
Yeah.
Or he said it might have just barely made contact.
He saved him with that commentating. That was great.
Speaking of Corey Graves, how do you feel about Corey Graves? Like he's a very controversial figure as an announcer.
I think he's a great announcer. I think sometimes he's just got to get his head out of his ass.
Yeah.
Because I think he's kind of he's a mean guy.
He gets in his own way.
People, yeah. But I think in terms of him calling matches, like colored commentary, I think for the modern era, he's perfect for it. I mean, he's nowhere near like the Jerry Lawlers and the
he's good
JRs.
as like the third guy, like the Byron Saxton.
Perfect, yes.
He's like the third guy. My favorite announcer, and this is no secret, everyone who knows me knows this, I love Mauro Ranallo. I think he is the best. He's the next big announcer.
He's fantastic.
And JBL ruined it for us. Now he's not on Raw or SmackDown.
Yeah.
He's just great at telling stories and like great at building talent up. Because one of the most underappreciated things in the business is a good announcer. And I think that he is the next Jim Ross, the next Vince McMahon, I guess. You could go all the way back to Vince.
Vince was a good announcer. So was
Jesse Ventura, all those guys.
Paul Heyman was a pretty good one.
Oh, yeah,
Very
absolutely.
underrated. Taz was good.
Early Michael Cole. Now Michael Cole's kind of...
Yeah.
He's just kind of going through the motions.
Early Michael Cole was pretty good for sure. But yeah, he's getting old. He's just going through the motions like you said.
I loved heel Michael Cole. That was a very underrated... Everyone hated him.
See, people... This is another thing that WWE needs to start doing, because if you were avid followers of WWE like Dominick and I are... Like, if you remember back in, I can't remember the exact
like
year.
2012, 2013, something like that.
I think it was a little bit less than that, but I think it was around that year.
Yeah.
Like, Michael Cole absolutely adored The Miz. Like, he
yeah.
talked about him it was like part of the angle that was going on at the time about how much Michael Cole loved The Miz. And now recently, you see The Miz go on, like, the commentary booth, like, talking it up with the commentators before a match, Like, Michael Cole sits there and makes fun of him or, like, hates on him the whole time.
There's no continuity.
Like, there's absolutely no continuity.
If I recall correctly, there was never a falling out between them. Like,
no, not
it
at
was
all.
just, there's no a lack of continuity is a big problem.
Not at all.
Not that I have that's my biggest issue. Obviously, you can't go on forever with, Kane running for mayor and say, oh, he's still Undertaker's brother. Like, they're still related.
No, I know.
That's a little ridiculous, but there needs to be some kind of continuity. And like, the booking needs to reflect that.
Yeah, of course.
You can't just have Braun Strowman randomly turn heel for absolutely no reason and
like
side with Dolph
weeks.
and Drew McIntyre.
For like 2 weeks
and then turn him back. That completely killed his momentum.
Exactly. It was confusing and fans hated it, and it was pointless. So I don't understand.
And back to The Miz. I love The Miz. I think The Miz should be WWE champion at some point in the very near future.
He's fantastic.
Or, Universal. I really think he should swindle it out of somebody. And
I think the most sense would be WWE champion because
for sure, yeah.
he already has a victory over Daniel Bryan. So I think eventually that storyline will come about if they're smart. But hey, they're not. So I guarantee it doesn't happen.
And I don't know why they're turning him face either. He was like one of those heels, like one of those The Rock heels or Stone Cold heels, where you kind of sort of hate him. He's annoying, but you actually love him because he is good on the mic, good and above average in the ring.
Yeah.
He tells a story. He's not out doing flips or anything.
He is like the modern era. Like the reason why he's not as good is because his ring ability is not as good. Yeah. But he's a modern day like Edge. I see it as.
That's a good comparison.
Which I mean, Edge is the modern day, but he's retired. So you know what I'm saying. Like at this moment in time, yeah, that was. So
we missed out on a great performer the last few years. Generally, they fall off a little bit, like poor Randy Orton.
Yeah. So here's my question to you. We'll go each champion, minus the tag team champions, because no one cares about them right now.
Sadly,
they squandered that too. I've been saying squandered a lot. I don't know why.
That's a good word.
I like it. I really like that word. But I'm gonna go by each champion and you predict who you think the next champion is.
Oh, go for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll start off with the Universal. Who do you think the next Universal champion will be?
The very next one, probably Braun.
Okay. Is that your opinion, or is that what you? Or I mean,
that's what I believe.
Is that what you think WWE is going to do, or is that what you believe
that's
is
what I
happen?
think is going to happen. Genuinely, that WWE is going to do.
Okay.
I think it could be. Honestly, I think there's a lot of underappreciated talent on that roster.
There
is on the Raw roster for sure.
Balor. I mean,
why? Okay, I really. You're gonna laugh at me, but I really like the Fashion Police. I like Tyler Breeze and Fandango.
Yeah.
I love them. I think they're so funny. They're on SmackDown again?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
See, no one knows. That's
I haven't watched SmackDown in forever. I have not. And I'm a wrestling fan, and I haven't watched SmackDown, and I think that says a lot.
Yeah, it definitely does. Let's start off with the Universal Champion.
Yeah.
You already said Braun Strowman.
Mm-hmm.
I say Braun Strowman as well because it makes the most sense. I think
I'd like it to be like Seth Rollins or Finn Balor or somebody, but it's
I'm torn on this answer because I want to say Braun Strowman, but I also want to say Drew McIntyre because what I think is going to happen, it probably won't because, like I said, WWE sucks and their booking is terrible.
Vince, if you're listening, listen some more because we're gonna fix things for you. If you just tune in, I know you're tuning in to Hell's Gate Podcast first of all because this is the greatest podcast in the world
of all time.
Hell's Gate PC on Twitter and Snapchat and Hell's Gate Podcast everywhere else. We're the greatest of all time. Follow us on everything.
Of all time, everywhere.
Vince, if you're listening, which I know you are,
you better be.
Pay close attention to what we're about to say.
But what I think is actually going to end up happening is it's going to be Braun Strowman winning at TLC, facing Brock Lesnar at the Royal Rumble. And I'm not sure how the ending of the match is going to be. Like, I feel like maybe Brock will get disqualified and hit him with a chair or something, and Braun will get another opportunity, and they're going to have that opportunity at WrestleMania. And I know Elimination Chamber is in between, but I think it'll just be Brock never, ever defends his championship in an elimination chamber match. So I think it's just going to be.
That would be sweet, though, wouldn't it? That'd add a lot of unpredictability.
Yes, would,
and they could put it on anybody there. That's a good idea. I think they should. It's not going to happen,
though. Because I really don't think
it's going to happen.
I don't think Brock Lesnar will compete at anything besides WrestleMania, Survivor Series, SummerSlam, Royal Rumble. So I think it'll be Brock Lesnar versus Braun Strowman. Braun Strowman wins via disqualification. And I don't know what'll happen in Elimination Chamber. I haven't quite thought that fully through, but I don't think it'll be anything important. But I think
not for the
Drew McIntyre will win the Royal Rumble. Ooh. And I think at WrestleMania it will be a triple threat match between Brock Lesnar, Braun Strowman, and Drew McIntyre. And I just think Brock Lesnar is going to lose one way or another, and I'm just torn on who would win between the two. Because Drew McIntyre, I think, is what Braun Strowman was like a few months ago.
But he's better in the ring. I mean, Braun's a great big man, but
I think they might. I agree. I think Braun Strowman will end up beating like McIntyre or something, which is stupid. But I don't know. I just don't see Brock. They're not going to have Brock Lesnar get pinned clean because they love that man to death. So I mean,
well, with Brock Lesnar going back to the UFC potentially, and I have been the biggest Drew McIntyre fan since he came into WWE. I loved his Chosen One gimmick.
Yeah.
Obviously, he was a little young then, but now he's got all the tools. Great on the mic, great in the ring.
He's great.
He tells stories when he's in the ring. He's believable as a champion. He's big. He's strong. And right now he's over. So hopefully the WWE fans have some sense in him, and hopefully they don't squander the potential that is Drew McIntyre.
But I'm sure they will.
Certainly.
But let's move on to Intercontinental. That one's kind of hard because I haven't been doing much with this title.
No, but luckily it's maintained its prestige, unlike
because it's Seth Rollins.
Yeah, unlike
Seth freaking
Rollins. Unlike the United States Championship, which is completely
we'll
worthless.
Talk about that here soon. But Intercontinental, go ahead.
They've kind of built it back up recently, with everybody holding it, all the big time performers. I think that Seth and Dolph would be a great feud for that. I think that Seth and Dean. Inevitably, I think Dean Ambrose will be the next champion.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I think that.
But they could have Finn Balor hold it. They could really build up that title as like a premier thing with good talent having good matches for it.
Yeah, I think this Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins feud is gonna go on very long. I think I don't know if it'll go past WrestleMania.
Potentially,
but I think it'll always be for the Intercontinental title, and I think it'll just switch between the two for a while. But I'm going to go above and beyond here, and I'm going to predict the next one after that feud.
Okay.
And I think it's going to be Finn Balor. I think Finn Balor.
Really?
I think Dean Ambrose is actually going to win this feud because I think he's in line for a push soon.
He's big now. He's bigger than he was.
Yeah, and you know how that goes.
New look,
Vince. So I think sooner or later, he's gonna be ready for a big push, And I think Finn Balor is going to be the one to take the title off of him eventually. So,
Dolph has to win a championship soon, or else he's going to lose credibility as a wrestler, as he already has.
Yeah.
Like, he's going to lose more credibility, and people are going to be sick of seeing Dolph Ziggler.
The smart thing to do, which they won't, like I said, it's been a common theme that the writers suck.
Yeah.
I think Dolph Ziggler should go to SmackDown, and I think it would be more believable of him fighting for the WWE Championship on that side, because I think the WWE Championship can be wide open. I think that's going to be the hardest one to predict if it's not AJ Styles, which it probably will be. But if it's not AJ Styles, I think the entire SmackDown roster is so wide open right now that anybody could win the title. Because Daniel Bryan, even though he's been building himself up with being heel, like before he won the title, he had absolutely no momentum going into his feud with AJ Styles.
It was the best decision to turn him heel that I've seen in a long time, because he was trying to be babyface Daniel. And let's be honest here. As much as we respect Daniel Bryan here at Hell's Gate, we can both agree that Daniel Bryan lost his luster after he's SmackDown general manager for forever. They should have taken him off TV.
Yeah.
If they had any idea that he could potentially return at all, they needed to have taken him off TV and waited for that big return so they could push him right to the moon just like they did the first time.
Another quick note I got to say about WWE is they are so bad at making returns like fun.
Oh, yeah.
They announce it the night before or the day it's happening. Like, have a surprise return sometimes. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, I can't understand why they do that.
It's inexplicable. It is
blasphemous.
Blasphemy. It's ridiculous. But back to get on topic here. What do you think about the tag titles?
I thought we weren't going to talk about those crap.
We're talking about them now because I need to know.
So, what are you asking me? Who do I think is going to be the next?
Yeah, who do
tag champs?
Yeah.
For SmackDown, probably the New Day again or Sanity.
I think it's fine.
I
the
hope
New Day
it's
is
Sanity.
great.
No, I get it, but we've seen the bar and the bar.
The bear.
We don't just set the bar.
We are
the bar. Sorry, that's one of our inside
We
jokes.
do that all the time.
All the time. But I think the bar and New Day, if I had to count on my hand how many times it's happened, it would probably be like 4 million. So
4 or 5 million maybe.
Yeah. So I think fans. The crazy thing is the matches they have are great every time, but it's the same 4 guys every time. So obviously WWE is going to get sick of it and stop caring about it. Yeah, 5 guys technically. Yeah. And it's either that or the Usos too. But we've seen the Usos in the New Day 375,877 times, and we also have seen the bar, and the Usos the same amount of times. So if I had to go out on a limb here and say a prediction, which probably won't happen though, I'm gonna go with Sanity, who are the new guys.
Eric Young.
Yeah, I think Killian Dane. I think they're a very good tag team, but they probably won't. But hey, that's what I'm predicting.
What about for Raw? Why are the AOP still tag champs? Because I hate them. I hate them. I like Drake Maverick, Rockstar Spud.
I like AOP when they were in NXT, but I think on the main roster they've just been bland.
They had bland. This risotto is bland.
Very bland, as Gordon Ramsay would say. Very bland.
Very bland.
So if I had to predict right now, man.
Do you even know a tag team on Raw? Because outside of that,
I'm telling you, their division is horrendous. So they're feuding right now with Bobby Roode and Chad Gable.
The weirdest tag team ever. I love Chad Gable. I love Bobby Roode. But what are they doing together?
Exactly.
What sense does that make?
So I'm going to go out and predict them because they're the only reasonable option, I guess, right now because no one else is here. I mean, maybe someone from NXT will get pulled up or maybe some random team will debut or something. Something needs to happen.
Something.
But that's what I'm predicting. What about you?
What about me? I'm gonna have to concur. I think that would be a great.
There's no choice to, but I mean,
Bobby Roode is a great performer. Loved him in TNA. Yeah. Chad Gable was great with Jason Jordan.
Yeah. And
I think they should have stayed a tag team. I think they'd still be in the running.
You know, I love Bobby Roode. Well, hey, that's a good point actually. Jason Jordan is probably going to come back pretty soon, so maybe Chad Gable turns on Bobby Roode.
That'd be nice. Heel tag team because everybody hates Jason Jordan.
American Alpha come back and win the titles. That would be more believable. But I'm still going to go with Bobby Roode and Chad Gable. But what I was saying, Bobby Roode is a fantastic performer by himself, I think. And I think
absolutely.
He should be a singles.
He was great in Beer Money, too, in TNA. They were a great tag team.
That's what I'm
James
getting
Storm.
to. Is like he's a very good tag team wrestler, and unfortunately, it's probably all WWE is ever going to have for him. But I don't think it should be with Chad Gable. I think it should be with someone that fits with him very well because those guys are like it's weird. They're just
it is weird
looking at them.
And they're two complete different age groups. It just doesn't make sense.
Not at all.
If it made sense, it would be different, but it doesn't.
Not at all.
I think that they should definitely split Chad Gable off from Bobby Roode.
Yeah.
I think that they should pair Chad Gable with Jason Jordan again.
Yeah.
And I think it'd be a great opportunity to bring in James Storm and actually get Bobby Roode get some momentum. Beer Money was a great tag team. I don't know if TNA has the rights to that. They might. I doubt it. They're not as smart as WWE is.
Yeah, I just don't think they would call it Beer Money just because.
Oh yeah,
of the
family friendly
the
PG
PG-13. Yeah, but
PG era.
You know damn well everyone's
Bubbles.
gonna call him Beer Money if James Storm's come back. So James Storm, not Storms. Sorry.
James Storm.
James Storms.
Tony Storm. Very, very, very hot right now in two different senses of the word. She is in line to be another top performer in the female division, which is absurdly great right now. I think that the female storylines and the female wrestling in general, matches, everything is just so much better than what the men have got going on at this particular juncture.
Yep.
For sure. So that would lead into, I guess, who do you think the women's champion is going to be on both shows?
On both shows, SmackDown is probably the easier one, so I'll start with that. Yeah, I'm stuck between two people. I think it'll either be Charlotte Flair or Asuka. So they're having a triple threat match at TLC as well. And I'm picking Becky Lynch to retain because she's the freaking hottest.
She's the man.
Yeah, she's the man, dude. But I think eventually I'm going to go with Asuka because I think they're going to make Charlotte's breaking the record tag team. Her women's match. Oh my God, I can't speak right now.
Women's championship.
Women's champion. Women's championship match. I think it's going to be something special, and I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. So
WrestleMania. What do you think what do you think the match is going to be? What do you think the outcome is going to be for the women's championship on SmackDown?
If I have to predict, I think they're going to stick with Charlotte Flair and Becky Lynch.
I hope so.
But,
that's going to be so good.
However, good thing you brought that up because I actually think it's going to be a non-title match at WrestleMania, which is a horrible idea. But I think
they could main event. Honestly, I really believe they could main event.
But I think because of what's been going on with
they won't. But
Becky and Ronda before she got injured, I think they're going to have that headline the pay-per-view, champion versus champion, which I don't totally agree with. I mean, that match will be great, and I'm happy that it would be headlining the pay-per-view. But I think a title match should headline the pay-per-view, or just like.
Of course.
If it's a huge like nostalgia match, like two legends clashing.
I'm glad you brought that up because I absolutely hate that now. Why did they bring Shawn Michaels out of retirement? What purpose did that serve, Anthony Militello?
Nothing. I mean, hey, he looked good, but
no, he didn't. He looked good physically.
I think that
he looked terrible in the match.
I think that only would have made sense if he has a few more matches, but it's not looking like he's gonna. So they kind of just.
It won't be a one-off. I can tell you that.
People are just going to forget about it hopefully soon. I mean, if it is a one-off. If it isn't a one-off, then goddamn, we're going to have to talk about Shawn Michaels in 2018 wrestling.
Taker, I love The Undertaker, and I think he's still got the mic skills. He's got the allure still, but he's washed up as a wrestler.
Jinder Mahal right now is a better wrestler than Undertaker in the ring.
As far as ability goes?
Wrestling, yes.
Sure. As far as storytelling goes, I don't think there'll ever be anybody better.
No, never. But his in-ring ability is just...
with Shawn and Taker. I think they might have a WrestleMania match. I really hope they don't. Shawn has come out and said that he doesn't want to do that. But if the money's there, like it was for Saudi Arabia and Crown Jewel,
it's the worst pay-per-view of 2018.
It's up there with the worst I've ever seen.
Probably.
I really did not like that pay-per-view.
Not at all.
You know what I did find though was solid was Survivor Series. I didn't like the 6-0 sweep.
Right. Yeah.
Outside of the pre-show. Yeah. And why was that not counted?
Good question.
Absurd.
Vince, answer that for us since you're listening.
All it did was reinforce as fans, it reinforced our feeling that the tag team division is completely not important to the WWE and it shouldn't be to us, and that SmackDown is the B show. And I think that as far as wrestling goes, SmackDown is definitely better, and I think that SmackDown should be neck and if they ever want to make it if they ever want to boost ratings again on both shows, they need to make a competition between head-to-head between SmackDown and Raw.
Yeah.
I think the Becky Lynch and the SmackDown women's division invading Raw was the best thing I've seen on WWE television, and I can't even tell you how long.
And it got completely squandered. Yeah, there's that word again.
Squandered.
It got completely squandered.
Word of the day.
They got swept. It is the word of the day.
Squandered.
But yeah, back to that. I think Asuka is going to be the next women's champion, and I don't know when it's going to happen though, because I honestly feel like at WrestleMania, even though Becky Lynch already had her moment of winning the title, I think she's going to retain the title.
She's too over.
If it's not a match with Ronda Rousey, I'm going to predict that they're going to be smart and just have a normal card and wait for that match at another time, which I would hope they would do. But it'll probably be Ronda and Becky. What could happen is it could also be Ronda and Charlotte.
It might be a triple threat for both, and both titles be on the line. How cool would that be?
That would be insane. But you think WWE would ever have the brains to do that?
No,
never.
But okay, here's another pet peeve I have while we're on the subject. I'll get back to my prediction. Back to the predictions in a minute. Wow, I've caught the syndrome that you had, where you cannot get the words out.
Speak.
I'll get back to the predictions in a moment. I really genuinely believe that the generic, all of the titles looking the same, is devaluing them outside of the mid-card titles.
Yeah.
Like, that is seriously devaluing, because who gives a shit? Excuse my Francois.
Whoa.
Who gives a darn about the Universal title at this moment? And I think the WWE title should
4 times.
Absolutely
Since it's been a thing.
I think that if it had a distinct look, I would be different. I really think the attitude would be different. I think it's stupid.
It looks like a red rocket.
We'll let you Google that one.
Yeah, go ahead.
Anyway, back to predictions. I think it'll be champ right now is Becky Lynch. On SmackDown, I think it'll be next champion will be Charlotte. I don't think Asuka's really.
Answer.
They're just throwing her in there to keep her credibility. I believe on Raw, the next champion will be Ronda Rousey, and then Ronda Rousey.
And then Ronda Rousey again, yeah, probably.
Until she decides she's done with the fad that is WWE, that she doesn't really feel like doing it anymore. But I do have to say, kudos to Ronda for really diving in, doing. I don't know if she does any house shows. She's on televised events often. She's on the pay-per-views. She's wrestling every pay-per-view on Brock.
I respect that.
I respect her beating that she took from Charlotte. She got welts all over. That was awesome.
It was.
I like Ronda as a person. Don't like her as a wrestler.
I just got an idea that popped in my head.
The arm drag of doom.
This TLC match, it could be Asuka who wins, and then at WrestleMania, we see a triple threat match for the Raw Women's Championship with all 3 of those ladies.
I don't think I like that idea if it wasn't Ronda Rousey that is involved, because I do not think that she is experienced enough to be in a triple threat and successfully tell a good story and have a good match.
Yeah.
WWE doesn't care. The WWE does not care about that particularly because she's Ronda Rousey. So I don't know.
I feel you.
I don't think she's ready for that.
All right, so let's go to the easiest and most boring championship out of all of them right now. The United States champion. Who do you think is going to be the next United States champion?
Who's even the champion right now?
Shinsuke Nakamura.
Well,
the most bland wrestler on WWE television right now.
He's not even in a storyline.
Not at all.
What is that?
Not
Your U.S. champion is in a storyline.
And he's not in a storyline. That's ridiculous.
How absurd is that? Honestly, I couldn't tell you who. I'll wait for your prediction, I guess. I don't know.
I've been thinking about
I think they'll bring up a guy from NXT, honestly, and maybe Adam Cole.
I have 2 guys in mind, and it could be neither of them. I don't know, but I'm predicting either Andrade Cien Almas, who's it's that's another guy they haven't been doing very good with him on the main roster either, but he's a fantastic wrestler. Sure. He had one of the first 5-star matches in WWE in a long time with who was that match with again? Do you remember?
Don't look at me. I don't know.
I think it was
we'll come back to it.
Yeah, we'll come back to that. I'll figure that out. Sorry. But I think it'll either be Cien Almas or Rey Mysterio.
Rey Mysterio would be a good one.
It would.
It's kind of again pointless and meaningless because everybody loves Rey Mysterio, but he's just not over right now. He's another washed up wrestler they brought back for no reason.
I love Rey though. I don't think he's washed up.
Yeah, that's because you have nostalgic memories of Rey.
But I think he's still good in the ring. Very good in the ring. He's much better than a lot of the guys on the roster still right now. And I think it's easily to tell that.
But he's like the biggest allure of him being a champion was him being a small man, like one of the small wrestlers, and being young. I think that was a big part of him being over in general because he's just a little young guy that no one would ever think could get over and be a champion. But he's old now, and he's still small.
As sad as it sounds, I mean, it's just like facts here. Like I've always loved Rey Mysterio, and I think he's great. But I think the part of his push and becoming such a global icon that he is due to the fact that they pushed him right after, unfortunately, Eddie Guerrero died, and they tried to replace him with that fan favorite Latino wrestler. So they used Rey Mysterio. Well, they were best friends. I'm not saying that he can't.
Yeah.
He shouldn't have gotten pushed. He was in line for one, but I think that definitely put him up there a lot because it was like a sad story, seeing his best friend die. It was like this nice storyline. It was great. They should have done it. I'm not saying they shouldn't have, but I think that really falls into how big he's became today, and I think it's a great thing, though. I mean, I'm not saying that someone dying is the reason why he's good today, because he's great either way, but I'm saying something like that is the reason why he got propelled. Yeah.
If Eddie never died, a lot of things wouldn't be the way they are now.
Exactly.
And I believe one of those things is the Chris Benoit situation. I don't know, we probably shouldn't talk about that this episode because that could be a whole other episode in itself.
Yeah.
But
definitely. By the way, Cien Almas versus Gargano for the NXT title is the match I was thinking of.
Oh, you were thinking of that?
I don't know why I couldn't think of Johnny Gargano. Johnny Wrestling. He's a freaking fantastic wrestler.
Yeah, and I like him heel now.
Yeah,
I like what they've
nice.
done with him. That's a good thing for sure.
Very good.
Okay, so while we're on titles, what the hell? NXT title. Who do you think is the next NXT World Champion?
Oh man, it's really tough.
Could be anybody. Really, I love NXT the way they book things.
I think they're gonna have either Aleister Black or
of course, yeah.
Gargano winning again.
Sure. Yeah.
I think sooner or later they'll veer back to Gargano and Ciampa.
They got to wrap it up. I think that's
because that was one of the best feuds ever, and
in NXT history for sure.
Yeah, and
for sure.
I just think it's the right thing to do right now. Have one last hoorah match before they get
called up, and then are relegated to the mid card just like everybody else.
I personally think Ciampa is going to be a future world champion, and if he's not, that's absolutely hilarious. So,
I don't know. I think
him and Gargano should, but I think Ciampa is in a better position than Gargano too right now because everybody hates Ciampa because of his heelness, but they love him because they love to hate him,
Oh, absolutely.
So
let's move on to something else. Something that I've been wanting to talk to you about. We haven't had the chance to discuss it at all. Have you heard about Cody Rhodes and the Young Bucks? And allegedly, Chris Jericho and JR have some minimal involvement as basically what I've heard is just as talent, starting their own promotion. They have the backing of
the Elite Wrestling something.
Yeah.
If all I'm saying, I was telling my friend,
they got to do it right.
I was telling my friend if they get this thing right and they have a slot in a national TV,
they've
with
got
all these
funding.
Good stars. Yeah, with all these.
I think his name's
amazing
Shere
stars.
Khan, the owner of the Jags. His son, his first. I think his firstborn son.
I heard about that. Yeah,
is funding it, and that is he's one of the richest men in the world. So
yeah, if they find a way to get a TV slot, consistently, a weekly basis, man, no one can talk today. What's going on here? A weekly basis, like WWE, Raw, and SmackDown are, I think they're going to have some real competition, WWE, and I think it's going to be the closest thing you're ever going to get to a WCW, WWE rivalry again.
It still won't be on anywhere near that same plane. I think WWE's got such a stranglehold on the market.
They do.
I'm going to have to disagree with you in that aspect. It's the closest thing you're going to get for sure, but I don't think it's going to be anywhere near that.
No,
if
I
they
don't,
carve
I
out
don't
a nice
either.
niche for themselves,
I just think it's going to be the closest thing that we're going to get to it.
And become what TNA was, and when they were rising and before they completely squandered their opportunity by bringing in Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff.
Yeah, that was, oh my God.
I mean, I kind of liked it because I'm a big, I was a big WWE fan
I just like
back in the
seeing
way.
Hulk Hogan on television.
Back in the day.
So
Oh yeah, of course.
that was pretty cool. But anyways, go ahead.
Like I said, I think it'll be more like the TNA role where people still tune in. They watch both, but they're never gonna jump ship. And hopefully they don't make the stupid decision that TNA did by trying to just directly compete with Monday Night Raw.
Yeah,
that was just foolish. I hope they do well, though. Best wishes to Cody and all those guys. I know you're listening. Like I said, greatest podcast in the world. Hell's Gate PC on Twitter and
Cody
Snapchat.
Rhodes will be on here soon.
Hell's Gate podcast everywhere else. Cody Rhodes. I really hope that they remain vigilant in their endeavors and try and stay away from WWE.
Yeah,
and create a second promotion.
But I think that'd be freaking awesome. Here's the problem, though: is I would love for all of them to come to WWE because that's the primary thing I watch.
Yeah, but there's not enough room for everybody.
Exactly, and I don't think WWE, especially with Vince around still, there's no way that group, that stable, would be able to maneuver in WWE and dominate like we would all think that they should because they are better than every wrestler on WWE television.
I wouldn't go that far.
Besides NXT guys.
But that's the thing. Where do you see
main roster guys?
They don't have enough space for all the NXT guys and the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega and Cody Rhodes.
They don't.
They need another promotion. And Dolph Ziggler can go and be a world champion in that promotion.
Yeah.
Guys who are underappreciated can just get up and leave and go somewhere else. And make that a great wrestling.
This is the thing I'm scared about, and why I think that they might be able to actually compete one day.
Yeah.
Is because all the guys that we love to watch that are our favorites that don't get treated enough.
Finn Balor.
Yeah, Finn Balor might go there.
Prince Devitt.
Like, hey, who knows? AJ Styles could leave and go back to where he started. I mean, he didn't start there. He started at TNA, but you know what I'm saying. He's friends with all those guys. He was in the Bullet Club. So if he goes there, they lose their top guy right now besides Brock Lesnar. They lose their top guy besides Brock Lesnar right now. And they lose Finn Balor. They lose Dolph Ziggler. They're going to lose other guys too. Apparently, I saw a report that there was 2 wrestlers that have confirmed that they would leave WWE on spot to go to that company. Those names were not revealed. But, hey, what if those 2 guys are 2 huge names? Shinsuke Nakamura is another one. The second he loses the title, I guarantee you he will go.
He's out.
There.
He's not renewing his contract.
Heck
He'd
no.
be stupid if he did. I mean, WWE is going to be able to offer him the most money, but you gotta. It's one of those things where you got to weigh your money and happiness, which is more important to you. Mm-hmm. Clearly, to some guys, money's more important, and that's understandable. They're still doing what they love, wrestling. It's their dream. But some guys want to be great and be considered one of the best ever. And shout out to Cody, Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, whoever else, Hangman Page, for all getting involved and trying to start their own thing. I think that's great. I think it's good for the business. Mm-hmm. If they do well, it's going to make WWE do better. Yeah. People are going to tune in to see which is better. I think that more competition is never a bad thing for anything.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Speaking of competition, we might as well parlay off of wrestling and into our other...
Well, wait a minute.
Okay.
There was one title we forgot here.
Okay.
The almighty WWE Championship.
Oh,
Daniel
of
Bryan.
course.
Who do you think will be the next title holder? Wow.
I think the very next one will be, I think, The Miz. I think they because AJ is taking a nice leave of absence until WrestleMania. Mm-hmm. That is a kind of a secret that a lot of people know, but people aren't willing to admit. Mm-hmm. He has trouble with the schedule. He doesn't like working house shows. He wants a Randy Orton schedule, is what's been reported by several. I saw it on Wrestle Talk. Support Wrestle Talk.
Shout out to them.
Shout out to Wrestle Talk.
They're a very good source. They're very good.
Shout out to all those guys, honestly, for keeping, for paving the way.
Page as well. We can learn a lot of things from them. Hey, but they can learn from us.
Absolutely.
We're the greatest freaking podcast in the world, man.
Yeah, of all time, ever.
Of all time. But I also think The Miz. I think it's just... I do also think AJ is going to lose very soon again to AJ Styles.
Why did they turn The Miz face?
Or to Daniel Bryan, I'm sorry. I think AJ Styles will lose to Daniel Bryan pretty soon. I think he's going to... I don't know. He'll have a match at WrestleMania. I don't know if it'll be for the title. I don't think it should be. I think AJ should have another one of those... not against Shane McMahon, but another just like side match that steals the show with someone who's a good wrestler. Because I think...
Not Shinsuke.
Yeah, definitely not Shinsuke. We don't even need to talk about how bad that was.
Abysmal.
But all right, with that being said, let's get into some NBA talk here.
Sure, yeah.
Markelle Fultz. Goodness, Markelle. Number 1 pick, Philadelphia 76ers, and has showed me about nothing. Not a single thing. Besides that, he lost every single skill that he had shooting-wise.
Yeah.
Hey, this is no knock on the guy. I've heard that he works extremely hard.
His teammates love him.
I hope he figures it out. But as a fan, just like from a distance, you can't help but get a little angry and make fun of the fact that it looks like he's lost all of his NBA skill.
Well, that's the thing. That's why he was a consensus number 1 overall pick. I mean, I saw this somewhere else. I can't tell you where. I forget. It was a long time ago. Even LeVar Ball acknowledged that Markelle Fultz was better than Lonzo Ball.
Yeah, and that's hard to do.
Exactly. You'd think he'd be like, oh, number 1 pick. Lonzo Ball, number 1 pick.
Never lost.
But he was so adamant on him being picked number 2 by the Lakers because Markelle was just better. He was just better than him. And I think Markelle was great at other things. He's pretty good, above average defender, good passer, good going to the rim. I think he still carves out a role with an NBA team, the 76ers, hopefully. He could. I think he's better than TJ McConnell.
Well, yeah.
Maybe not at this very second until he gets his shoulder right, which I'm not sure if it's mental or physical.
Yeah, that's this big problem is his shoulder is... I think if he develops his offensive, scoring-wise and his jump shot again, I think he'll be fine. I think he'll be... I don't know about a superstar point guard in the NBA.
No, I never thought he would be.
I think he'd be a star point guard maybe where he...
I think he'll be Eric Bledsoe.
Squeezes into a few All-Star games here and there maybe. But...
He'll be Eric Bledsoe in his prime. Phoenix Suns, Eric Bledsoe.
Maybe. So if he had to predict a team that he's going to get traded to, because that's been the huge rumor here, is that he wants a fresh start, which I agree with. I think he should get a fresh start, although I think he could end up fitting in with the Sixers eventually. But hey, if he says he wants a fresh start and he gets a fresh start, he better show us all that we're stupid for thinking that he can't play in the NBA right now.
Generally speaking, I just don't think he's going to be traded. I would love to humor you and say, he's going to get traded to the Pistons because that would be fantastic.
Yeah.
We're from good old Detroit, Michigan.
Yes.
Metro Detroit area.
Yep.
Shout out Detroit Pistons. But
yeah, they're doing pretty good so far.
No, they're not bad. We'll get to that very momentarily, and we're going to talk for a while about it. So
yeah,
we might run to an hour and a half.
Yeah, we might hear for 3 hours. You don't even know.
You never know.
We'll see.
Never know. So what I was going to say is Markelle is just not getting traded. Teammates love him. The front office is confused at what he's doing right now, but I don't think it's enough to warrant him getting traded.
Okay, that's fair.
As much as we like to speculate and as NBA fans we like to play mystery matchmaker with teams and players, he's just not getting traded.
See, the funny thing is, what you just said is when you were done, because I thought you were going to say team. I thought you were going to have this big reasoning for why he was going to get traded and all that. Like, I was actually going to say pretty much word for word what you were about to say. I don't think he's going to end up getting traded. I think it's going to work out there. I think he's going to end up becoming a good NBA player and should do good and all that. I said, I think he should get traded because he wants a fresh start and all that. Like, I'm saying he should be traded because he said that he needed a fresh start, not because I think he should be traded. I think if you say that you need a fresh start, I think as a front office, you should trade a guy like that. But, however, with that being said, I was going to get to the fact that I think that he is not going to get traded.
At least not this season.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially now his trade value is so terrible.
Yeah.
It's not what it should be. He's still a young prospect, still a number one pick. He's not Anthony Bennett. Like, as soon as Anthony Bennett entered the league, he had no excuses. He just couldn't play.
You can tell he has flashes where the kid can still play. He can still play for sure, no doubt.
If he gets that jumper right, it's gravy from that point for him.
No doubt. So let's talk about Golden State for a second.
Why?
Yeah,
Why are you doing this to me?
I hate them, just like a lot of other people do, because they have too many people on their team.
They have an all-star lineup.
And it's very hard to want to like the competition in the NBA when one team completely squandered the competition in the NBA because they were going to win the championship.
Hang on, let me cut you off. That is not a proper use of squandered. It is no longer the word of the day. You squandered the opportunity to be able to use the word squandered.
Ah, there it is again.
Squandered.
Well, whatever. Anyways, since Steph Curry has been out, they look horrendous.
Absolutely horrendous.
And it's starting to look more and more. I mean, I can't judge this early, but Kevin Durant, it doesn't look like he can carry his own team if he doesn't have his 4 other all-star buddies next to him playing alongside him.
And to be fair, I'm going to mention this so our audience, friends, family know that we're a huge Kevin Durant fan. You were a big OKC fan.
I was.
You still love Russell Westbrook for reasons that I can understand. Yeah. I just cannot understand why I hate Russell Westbrook.
I love him.
Tony,
I love that energy.
Sure, the energy, but we'll talk about that in a minute. KD, again, is proven to us time and time again that he can step up in big moments when he has 3 all-star teammates.
Yeah,
but that's it. He's not who Steph Curry is. Steph is the heart and soul of the team. I don't care what people say.
Draymond, I think, is more of... I mean, KD's obviously better. I'd rather have Kevin Durant. But in that team, when Draymond doesn't play compared to when KD doesn't play... I mean, they went 73 and freaking 9 without Kevin Durant. So when Draymond doesn't play, though, it's been shown that they do not do as good because he's the heart and soul of that defense.
Well, naturally.
And that is a huge component to them winning championships.
I think that once Boogie comes back, though, and Steph is healthy,
it's over.
Hopefully Steph gets healthy because despite my despising of the Golden State Warriors, big Steph Curry and Klay Thompson fans. I like who they are.
I like Klay. I don't like Steph.
I like Klay as a man. I like him as a defender, as an offensive. I think he can get hotter than anyone else in NBA history.
All of them as men. There's going to be a lot of times where we sit here and make fun of or hate on NBA athletes. Most of them, I can say, are good men, though.
Yeah, good people.
If there's someone who aren't good people, we will probably call them out on it. But I'm saying, these are good people, but as, basketball players and, pertaining to the game, I don't like what Kevin Durant did, and I don't like the changes that Steph Curry made to the NBA, but that's just a biased opinion. I have no...
And basketball in general, because you see, kids trying to shoot from 40.
That's the whole problem I have with him. It has nothing to do with him as a man. He's a great family man. He's a great person, but
great
that's
player.
all I'm saying.
Yeah, he just changed the game for the worse, in my opinion.
But
you never know. Rule changes can easily change things.
Yeah.
They could easily bring hand checking back, and Steph Curry will never score another NBA basket. that they could just if it gets out of control, then they can something's going on here, and we're in the studio today, and something's going on in the room next to us. So
so excuse that noise.
Excuse the rattling.
Yeah.
But yeah, Steph Curry is the heart and soul of that team. He's the most important factor on that team.
Mm-hmm.
Take him out, they suck. Plain and simple.
That's what I'm getting to here is the fact that when Steph Curry is not on the court, that they almost lose games. Yeah. They lost to the Dallas Mavericks. They won by 1 point to the Sacramento Kings, who have been in a roll right now. They've been doing pretty good this season.
But they're the Sacramento Kings, Tony. Come on, there's no excuse.
I can't think of other teams at the top of my head right now, but they've been nearly losing to teams that are way better than them. And I think that right now proves to me. Like I said, it's pretty early to say this about Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
But I don't think he can carry a team like people think. Like, I think he's the second best player in the world, talent-wise. But I think
he's a talent.
If you're trying
he's
to
not
carry,
a leader.
Exactly. If you're trying to carry a team, I'm going to pick Steph over him. I'm going to pick LeBron, obviously, over him. I'm going to pick Kawhi Leonard over him. I'd go as far as to say I would pick Anthony Davis to lead my team over him. Giannis is up in the air. I don't know, but,
I don't know about Anthony Davis either. As much as I think Anthony Davis is very talented. I think he's great.
Yeah.
I think he's one of the best in NBA history,
but
believe it or not.
But he also hasn't shown that he can lead.
Yeah, he has been surrounded by absolute garbage.
That's why I
think
Anthony Davis can eventually, if he has good talent. I'm just saying like a random like swapping of Kevin Durant and Anthony Davis right now with the injuries and everything. Like I think Anthony Davis would put them in a better position to win games for
right
a little
now
bit.
Until Boogie comes back, of course.
But like I'm just saying, as of right now, it just looks like Kevin Durant can't carry it, but I think he can. I'm not saying that he's not capable of that, but he needs to show us that he can carry them because what are they, the 4th seed right now in the West? Like they're not dominating like everybody thought they would, and I get injuries are going to contribute to that record, but you're Kevin Durant. You've been talking this junk about how you're
great.
And
you still have 2 other All-Stars in your lineup currently. Yeah. There is no reason and that could be a big 3 for sure. Kevin Durant, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green.
Easily.
Like, don't act like that's not a good team. They have a great bench.
Exactly.
Like, they're not even playing Sean freaking Livingston.
I know.
That's absurd. That's absurd.
Agree.
Granted, their bench to me isn't as good as it was last year, but it doesn't matter. They still should be better than they are right now.
Yep.
Especially with the second best player in the world, which is why I don't think I think Kawhi Leonard's better than him. I'll just come out and say it right now. I think he's better. Obviously, he's not as good of a scorer. Kevin Durant's up there with the best ever, but Kevin Durant brings points. Kawhi Leonard brings defense, points, leadership, just like LeBron. LeBron brings assists, rebounds.
I think Kevin Durant is still better, but I get what you're saying with that. Speaking of best player in the world, Blake Griffin. He's doing absolutely amazing for the Pistons so far, and I mean, they're doing all right. They're doing pretty good. So, I mean, Andre Drummond's been playing pretty good, but one thing I cannot stand about that hairy-shouldered monster that is Andre Drummond is that when he messes up, he shuts down as a player for a solid minute.
Or when someone gets in his face.
Yeah, it's really upsetting. He needs to have that fire and energy all the time. Yeah. He could be so good. He's great already. He could be so much better if he just did that all the time. But pertaining to the Pistons, I mean, where do you see them ranking in the Eastern Conference at the end of this season?
Maybe 6, 7 seed. I think for sure it could be 6 or 7 seed. I think that obviously they're not at the beginning of the season. I was like, they could be toward the top of the division. But they've proven that they're the Pistons.
Yeah, definitely.
As much as I love the franchise and I love the current roster, I would love it more if we had Tobias Harris on our team. But
that would be great.
And Boban Marjanovic. But I really like Blake Griffin. I think that was a great trade. I thought that back then. I still think that now.
Yeah, agreed.
I would go as far as to say Andre Drummond is severely overrated, but you cannot. There's something to be said about his rebounding ability. He could be a better defender. He could be a better offensive force if you stop throwing up hook shots. Reggie Jackson.
God almighty. Reggie Jackson.
He needs to, if he would just be the player that he is, great pick and roll guard, decent shooter from outside, decent shooter from the mid-range, decent going to the rack. If he would just be who he is and stop trying to be the leader of the team and stop taking big-time shots and clanking them and, he's just a frustrating man to watch as a Pistons fan and as a fan of basketball in general.
He really is.
He thinks he's Russell Westbrook, genuinely. without like the athleticism. He just thinks he's that guy, and he's not.
The sad part is we have arguably the best front court in the NBA with Drummond.
Not arguably, we do. We have the best front court
with Drummond
outside of
Griffin.
Draymond and
Cody.
but they're not.
There's other guys that people debate like Jokic and Millsap, which I don't agree with, but people will say that. And there's some other guys.
They're
out
good.
There. Yeah, but you can't win a championship or even the Eastern Conference championship with Reggie Jackson at the helm of your point guard position. That's very sad. I mean, they're sitting at 11-7 right now at the 5th seeded spot, but I don't see them staying at the 5th seed spot. I see them slightly becoming lower than that and becoming maybe an 8th, 7th, or 6th seed. I think they'll end up somewhere like that.
Here's a question for you. I'd like you to pull up Reggie Jackson's stats of it, like in shooting percentages. I know he's doing better than I expected this season, but I will ask you while we're talking about it, what do you think? Let's hear some trade proposals from the Pistons for John Wall. Like, because John, obviously, if you guys aren't keeping up, John Wall, they're trying to blow up the entire Wizards team.
Yeah.
And John Wall there's not a big market out there for him because of the whatever $40 million he's gonna be making next season, and it only gets bigger from after that. The next following years are much even larger than $40 million. Just like he's on a Blake Griffin contract.
Yeah.
What do you think? Do you think A, we will trade for him? B, what do you think we'd give for him? And C, what do you think we should give for him?
Well, that's a good question here, Dominic.
What is he worth to Anthony Militello?
John Wall?
One half of the greatest podcast duo of all time.
Yeah, of all time, by the way. We just had to get that out there. But if I'm the Pistons, I mean, you definitely have to include Reggie. You need to get that contract out of there for sure. And you need to get other big contracts out of there because John Wall is making a lot of money. So
we can get him if we get him for what he's worth this season, which we easily can. Yeah. I mean, I think with a package of, let's say, to make the money work, Reggie, John Lure, Stanley Johnson, first-round pick. I think that's a lot to give up for him. But I do believe that
was the exact trade package I was going to say, too.
Really?
So, yeah, I was going to say John Lure makes sense with the money. Stanley Johnson has just – I mean, he played good the other night. But, yeah, he's not doing what anybody thought he would in the NBA. And a first round, probably. But another guy I was thinking of that I'm on the bubble of trading, just because of his contract, I love him on our team as a sixth man. But Langston Galloway, I think, is getting paid a lot of money.
$7 million.
So I'm not sure if I would swap Stanley with Langston in that deal. But that's just something to think about there. I'm not sure.
The reason I included Stanley is because first they need a young player. We might have to throw Luke Kennard in there, which I don't want to do, but they need one or two young players. First of all, they need to make the money work.
Yeah.
Young players, draft pick.
However, although we're thinking about this, I do not think he's going to come to the Pistons. I don't think he will get traded to the Pistons, and I don't think he's going to get traded at all. I don't think anything's going to happen there either. I know that's a sad topic and sad to viewers, not for me not to go on and talk about all these amazing rumors that we could have about John Wall, but my prediction for that is I don't think he's going to go anywhere. I think he's staying in Washington. I do think Bradley Beal will get traded, though.
Sure, yeah. My thing is, if they're going to trade John Wall, they better trade him now while his contract is still whatever it is, 20-something million.
Yeah, he gets paid way too much, and I think
instead of next year where they're not going to be able to move him at all, they're going to have to move to
he's an elite
Chandler Parsons.
He's an elite star point guard, but he hasn't proved in the playoffs that he can carry your team to where you want to be exactly. But then again, I mean, if you're a team with one piece away, you're gonna want freaking John Wall. But I'm just saying, there's a lot of teams who won't want to carry that contract around with him if they're not insured that they'll win a championship. For example, I think a team like the Lakers, if they were to get a guy like Wall or Beal, not both of them obviously because they have shown that they struggle together now, but I think the Lakers are one of those teams that are a piece away like that to become contenders in the future. However, with that being said, going back to the Warriors for a split second, none of that stuff matters because of the Warriors. So they can get all these guys, but they're not going to win anything because Golden State is just sitting there with 5 superstars in their starting lineup. Whip de frickin' do, Golden State. Thanks.
Well, I don't think – I'm going to ask you, do you think their dynasty is going to last another – how many years do you think they got left in them? How many years do you think Kevin Durant's going to be there? Clay.
That's a really good question.
Obviously, DeMarcus is gone after this year. Let's make that clear.
I mean,
if he stays somehow, if he signs with a minimum again, I will literally jump off a bridge.
I
will go to the Golden Gate Bridge.
This podcast will end.
I will go to the Golden Gate Bridge and I will jump off myself and we will.
Yeah.
You will have to carry on as the only member of the greatest podcast of all time.
Yeah.
Hell's Gate Podcast, Hell's Gate PC on Twitter and Snapchat.
It's hard to do it with one of us. We need both of us to be great.
Hell's Gate Podcast on all of the platforms.
Yeah, look us up.
Look us up, baby.
Great. Hell's Gate, baby. Yeah, I think Kevin Durant is actually going to end up leaving at the end of this year. And hopefully he'll jump board to my Lakers. So I'm going to put this out here right now for all you viewers. My two teams that I've stayed with and I'm continuing to stay with, there's a lot of teams I like in the NBA, but my two teams that I am fans, like complete fans of, have always been the Lakers and have always been the Pistons. And I don't want any of you calling me out saying I'm a bandwagoner of the Lakers because I got LeBron. I was sitting there when Jody Meeks was one of their best players. Clarkston was still a young guy. Ryan Kelly was on their team. Robert Sacre. Like, I've been through those days with the Lakers. So I am a true fan of those two teams. I just had to get that out there. But I think Kevin Durant is going to go to the Lakers, and I still think Golden State is going to win the title this year. So that's why I'm saying these trade rumors don't really matter for this year, because I think no matter what happens, I think Golden State is going to win it no matter what, and that's very upsetting.
Very upsetting. Well, to just I'm going to kind of oppose you here on this. I definitely think that something's going on. Somebody's mad. I don't know if you guys heard that, but somebody's yelling in the hallway. I lost my train of thought. But I will say that I do think John Wall is getting traded this season because I don't think that there's any possibility of them moving that contract after that, and they want to rebuild. So I think he's getting traded this season. About Golden State, I think they will be here forever. I think they'll be here for at least another 3 years in their current state without DeMarcus, obviously.
That really sucks.
And
that's true.
It's funny about Tony, what he said about the Lakers is because like he's the biggest LeBron fan I know, and he was that before he went to the Lakers, and he's one of the biggest Laker fans I know. So when LeBron went to the Lakers, and he was the only person that I personally in my circle knew, like that I knew, that was saying that LeBron was going to go to the Lakers, and I think it was just he was just praying. He was just at night. I think that's why he's like, God, dear God, it's me, Billy, and he was like, please let LeBron go to the Lakers. And God was like, all right, Billy, Bobby, it doesn't matter what your name is. We'll give you one. We'll give you one.
Let me just say that day when I saw LeBron James signing to the Lakers was one of the best days of my life. I'm that guy. I am that guy who had a photoshopped LeBron in a Lakers jersey as my background on my phone before he even went to the Lakers. I didn't even think he was going to go to the Lakers. I thought from a basketball standpoint that it wasn't a good idea for LeBron to go to the Lakers. I think if he wanted to win a championship, which, I guess that's not what it could be all about.
Sure.
He's a great businessman, and it was a great business move to go to the Lakers.
Yeah.
But in terms of basketball, I thought he should have went to the Houston Rockets because I think that almost would have been a for sure title. But that's debatable because Golden State's there, and Golden State's cheat code. So,
Oh yeah, the just an all-star team.
Yeah,
it's very sad to see. I genuinely think, as Tony is scratching his nuts in front of me, that that nobody else really has a chance right now. No. I do think the Raptors, though. I think if they play their brand of basketball, if Kyle Lowry decides to show up,
force for the Warriors to take on.
If Kyle Lowry decides to show up in the playoffs, I definitely think they have a chance. More than anyone else in the Eastern Conference has. People say the Bucks, they have absolutely zero chance against the Warriors.
Yeah.
Stop it.
When we're staying on the Eastern Conference, here, what is going on with the Boston Celtics?
Well,
because I thought they were for sure top of the East. I didn't think it was going to be close in the East. I thought that they were the Warriors of the East. I didn't think a team would have a chance. But they're sitting here at the 6th seed at 11-10 or something like that. They're not doing very good.
I knew it was going to fall apart. As soon as I saw Kyrie go down, I'm like, that's it. I knew Gordon was going to have a hard time fitting back in because it was a new team in general when he first got there. And he kind of, throughout training camp and all that, carved his rollout and established that he was going to be number 2 to Kyrie, which was obviously was going to happen anyway. Yeah. I knew when they drafted Tatum that Tatum was going to be big time. He was my favorite guy in the draft. Said that way before the mock petitions came out.
I had to say Lonzo just because I'm a Lakers fan.
just say the word Lonzo.
Even though I thought Tatum was probably going to be the best too, but I always had to stick with Lonzo because that's what Lakers fans do.
But back to the Celtics, I genuinely believe that I think they'll figure it out. I don't know about Gordon Hayward. I hope they find a way. I don't want to say this because I like him to fit with the Celtics, Brad Stevens, but I really hope they trade him. because there's just too much talent on that team. Those young guys got used to the spotlight in the playoffs. Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, even Terry Rozier. They got used to it, and that is a problem when you're talking about personalities in the locker room, especially with Gordon struggling.
No doubt.
Everyone is sitting there. I could be in the starting lineup over Gordon Hayward right now. Like, why are they?
100%.
As much as you want to believe they're all buddies, which they are, they're all brothers in their locker room.
Brothers in arms.
Obviously, you want to start. That is just a basketball thing.
Yeah, going off of that, I think they should get rid of Gordon Hayward. It might be too early to say that, but I think that, unfortunately, because I feel so bad for the guy. I mean, when you see an injury like that, like it's hard to even imagine that they'd be good again. But I mean, it's happened before. But like, that's a good excuse to say why he's been struggling. I understand, because when you get injured that bad,
get your mojo back, man.
Exactly. I had an injury.
With Paul George.
Yeah, I had an injury that wasn't even close to the severity that was, and it completely ruined my desire to go on the court and put out my all into it because I was scared to get injured. So I can understand where he's coming from with that. But you're a professional, so I mean, you got to step up a little bit. But I think they should get rid of Gordon Hayward, and I think because of how heavy the NBA is about scoring now, and I think because they're a good defensive team, this is gonna sound crazy, not as like a starting backcourt together, but I think that they should play Kyrie and Terry Rozier a lot together.
Really?
Because I think, I know defensively that other guards would have a field day against those two guys, but I think Terry Rozier you're not getting the most out of him because of the playing time and because they have one of the best point guards in the NBA in Kyrie Irving. So I think that has also became a problem to some of the production on the bench. So I think between that, but I think the big problem is Gordon Hayward, and I think it's time for him to go, and I think it's time to focus on your primary forwards being Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. And I think it's sad. Like I said, it's sad. I feel for the guy, Gordon Hayward. He's only been there for a year, played one game, got injured, and then
nasty injury, by the way.
Nasty injury, yeah. And then he's started out the second season pretty bad with this team. So it would suck to see him get traded because I don't think he deserves that. But I think in terms of basketball, I think that's the best thing to do. And I think for his career, it would probably be the best thing to do too, if he wants to build himself back up with a fresh start to where he doesn't have all this pressure of having to compete for a championship, and just be able to work on himself for a while, and then maybe try to go somewhere else after he builds himself back up to get a championship again. So
that's a great point we both agree about Gordon, but I severely disagree about your assessment of the Terry Rozier, Kyrie Irving thing.
What you talking about, Willis?
I think that definitely that is a terrible idea. I think that, and I think you're completely wrong about the weight and value of defense versus offense in the NBA. I think that I'll use the Houston Rockets for an example. They are a great offensive team no matter what, but once they insert Carmelo Anthony in the lineup,
oh Lord,
and they all stop playing defense, they suck. Now they bring back their old defensive coordinator. I forget his name. They bring him back. They're much better now. Now they're winning games, and they're a better team.
Houston lost
They're
Trevor Ariza, who
two
is
great defenders.
Probably their best defender.
Three great defenders.
Yeah, and then they had Richard Mbamute, who was a very good defender as well.
Good on the wing.
I just think in the NBA, defense is very important, but I think when you have as much talent as you do on a team like, for example, the Celtics, and the Warriors do play defense. They haven't been doing as good this year on the defensive end. But a team like the Warriors and a team like the Celtics, because I thought they were just that damn good, that I think a guy like Rozier, who's struggling and did better with a bigger role, I just think maybe playing them two together and giving him starter minutes might just be the best.
Well, that's another thing. Who do you have bring up the ball? Who do you have? Because Kyrie did not go to Boston to have Terry Rozier handle the ball.
Exactly.
And Terry Rozier doesn't play well off ball.
He made a point to when he left Cleveland that he wanted to be the primary guy with the ball, because he was a lot of off ball playing with LeBron James. But however, he would be bringing up the ball a lot too, but when he's on the court with Rozier can also bring the ball up the court. And Kyrie has proven, in terms of his numbers, I don't know about PER, but just saying numbers, he had his best numbers with the Cavs alongside LeBron James. So, and that was in an off-ball role. I'm not saying Terry Rozier is going to distribute the ball.
I think his numbers were better last year. I'm pretty sure his numbers were better last year.
Just by the numbers. I'm not talking. PER was better, I'm pretty sure, on Boston, but I'm just talking per game in every category. He was better with Cleveland.
What do you guys think? Everyone who's listening to this podcast still, thank you, first of all, for making it through our first hour and 14 minutes now of our podcast. Thank you for tuning in, first of all. Thank you for being here still. Leave a comment on all of what we said.
Yeah. Anything you guys want to talk about.
Yeah, give us your opinion on what we're talking about, and we will respond to you.
Yes.
We'll try to get to every comment, everything.
Yeah, there's going to be like millions of comments, so
Clearly,
we'll try our best.
We'll try our best. Absolutely.
We'll do our best.
But yeah, I think that defense. The old adage is defense wins championships.
Yeah.
And if you look at who's won the championship recently, they have all been good defensive teams.
But let me cut you off right there. However, the teams who have won the championship have either been a 5 superstar. Well, they had 4 until DeMarcus came there.
Well, they played great defense.
They did, but when you have that much talent on your team, like it's kind of hard to lose. And it's either been a 4 all-star team or the best player in the world just dominating everybody in LeBron James. Because LeBron James, that Cavs team, like they weren't that good of a defensive team. LeBron James,
no, they were terrible.
He just carried them. So like, I do agree with the principle that defense wins championships, and I think that's actually like a secret weapon that you could use in today's NBA because of how much offense is valued.
Quit trying to copy the Warriors and learn how to play defense and try something new on offense.
Exactly. You need to get a lot of stars in today's NBA. You need a super team now, which is kind of sad, but you need a super team now. But I think the secret is to build up a bunch of superstars on one team and play freaking defense. And that's what the Warriors pretty much did, and you could obviously see that they completely demolished everybody not even until the finals. They demolished everybody.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, last year they struggled a little bit, but everybody knew that they were going to win,
Yeah.
You knew Houston was going to squander that opportunity. Squander.
There's
the word of the day again.
Word of the day, squander. I think that Houston, if Chris Paul doesn't get hurt, they win that series. Honestly, I genuinely believe that they win that series. They had their number. They really did. I think that, with Chris Paul on that team, James Harden likes to shrink in big moments. We all know that. That's a fact at this point. He likes to shrink in big moments. I had that in mind
when that playoff series came about, but it was really close. So for a split second, I honestly did I agree with you. I did think that for a second Houston had a chance, but I think the second that they blew that Game 6 where they could have ended it right there, I was like, there's no way Golden State's losing a Game 7. I just can't see it.
Yeah, I feel what you're saying.
I just couldn't see it. The only time they've lost a Game 7 in the last few years is to LeBron James. And that was just LeBron and Kyrie
just
playing
going off.
Just not even like caring about team basketball, just absolutely diminishing everybody else that's in front of him. And that was incredible to watch. That was one of the best playoff series I've ever seen in my life. So
100% agree. So let's move on very, very briefly. We'll talk about our predictions for the Eastern Conference Finals, Western Conference Finals.
Okay.
Finals.
All right.
So I'll let you start.
In the Eastern Conference, I do think Boston is going to figure it out, and I do think it's going to be Boston versus Toronto in the NBA, or not the NBA Finals, the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah.
And I'll get back to who I think is going to win that. But in the Western Conference Finals, I think obviously it's going to be the frickin' Golden State Warriors. And it's a biased opinion, but I think the Lakers are going to meet them in there because when playoff times come, LeBron James is going to find a way to carry them to the Western Conference Finals. They're not going to beat the Warriors. I'm not that crazy of a Lakers fan, but I think LeBron is good enough to be able to carry them against the secondary teams of the Western Conference. And I think before the season started, I would have told you that Houston would destroy the Lakers too. But the way Houston's been playing too without having their primary defenders, I really do think the Lakers have a chance, especially because it's their forwards that they lost. Like, who the hell is going to guard LeBron James on the Houston Rockets? But I get the Rockets outmatch them at every other position besides LeBron James. But I think when the playoff time comes, I think LeBron James will be able to get them to the Western Conference Finals at the least.
I agree with that sentiment, but I'm not 100% sure about the Lakers. Like, in my heart of hearts, I want the Lakers to be a premier team in the West, but I think at any point in the playoffs, they could get knocked out by several teams. A dangerous team that literally no one talks about is the Nuggets. Like, the Nuggets are dangerous.
They are, I agree.
Like, how are you about to tell me that the Nuggets don't have a chance against the Lakers.
I still think the Lakers. I mean, no, they have a chance for sure.
A lot of teams.
A team that you're probably going to disagree with me on here that I think it could actually be their time. No one's going to beat Golden State, but a team to get to the Western Conference Finals finally for the first time in a while. I think OKC can get there this year.
You're dreaming.
I really do. They are playing very well right now, and I think Russell Westbrook. I know you hate the way he plays in terms of like the way he gets his triple doubles, but I haven't been watching a lot of Russell Westbrook like I usually do, but the way that he's been playing that I've seen, like he's been playing a lot different than he usually does, to where he looks like he's padding for stats and all that stuff. Like they have a different dynamic on their team because their backup point guard is someone who can give you 20 points a game in Dennis Schroeder. So I think Dennis Schroeder gets a lot of minutes. Sometimes they play together too, but Russell Westbrook, I think he hasn't completely changed that whole way that he does that, but I think he's been playing like a lot better for the team than he has been in past years. So I think that's another team to look at. I don't think they'll get there, but I think I would not be surprised in any way, shape, or form if they get there.
I have one word to say to that. Blasphemy. Blasphemous on Hell's Gate. That was ridiculous. All the words that came out of your mouth are just absolutely absurd. And I will stand by that. If the Oklahoma City Thunder make it to the Western Conference Finals, I will wear an OKC hat around, and I absolutely hate Russell Westbrook. I will buy a Russell Westbrook jersey, and I will wear it for 1 week straight.
I will hold you to that. My third team that I've always been at the top of my favorite teams has always been OKC. That's always been like my third team that I like the most. I wouldn't call myself a fan of them, but they're definitely right under the Lakers and Pistons. But I'm telling you, man, I wouldn't be surprised. I don't think it's going to happen. That's not me predicting that. But I think the way that I've seen them play in the few games that I've watched this season, I think the whole dynamic of the team is different now that Melo's gone for one. And I think Russell Westbrook has been playing a lot better to where it fits the team needs. And I think that alludes to Dennis Schroeder being there now and having a big role, and him playing very well right now too. And the fact that he's a backup point guard that can give you 20 points a game.
Yeah, IT is a backup point guard.
And they still have Steven Adams there when Robertson gets fully back. He's a great defender who.
That's it though. You can't do anything else.
The thing is if Robertson was there back last year, I think they beat Utah in the first round. I think they lose in the second round still, but I think with Robertson, I think he's another guy that is such a huge role of their team that when he got injured, it was completely detrimental to everything that they wanted to do to Utah, and that's why they lost. But they wouldn't have won anyway anyways. I'm just saying that on a side note, but I think it's not completely out of the ordinary to think that OKC could make it there this year.
A lot of people are saying, more people than you'd expect are thinking the Trailblazers are going to make it to the
That is absolute blasphemy.
That is ridiculous.
Just because the number one seed right now?
Who dat?
The Los Angeles Clippers.
LAC. I like
but
the
they're not going anywhere. So
they're a starless team.
They're just playing good.
They're
literally the Pistons. How the Pistons start off the season usually, and then they completely squander their record later in the season.
Yeah, it's I like the Clippers. I like everyone on the Clippers right now.
I do too. They play good together too, but if they sneak into the playoffs, I don't think they're going to do anything. I think if some crazy way they get a high seed in the playoffs, I think they lose in the first round to a lower seeded team. Like,
damn it, LAC, unleash the Boban permanently. Let him get some minutes. I'm telling you, I've been saying this since on the internet a long time ago, almost a year ago, which isn't that long, but I just wanted to exaggerate. On the second greatest podcast of all time, I said that if you unleash the Boban for the Pistons, that he's going to go off.
Oh, yes.
And it's going to be a big deal. And
greatest
he's going to be
PER in NBA history. History.
Just let him be your bench big man.
Think of that. History. There isn't a single player in the NBA that has ever played in this game that has a better PER than Boban Marjanovic.
It's absurd.
I mean, he's slow as hell.
He can't play defense.
And he can't play defense, but like if you give the guy like 20 to 25 minutes a game to come off your bench, like that could be a crucial points and rebounds that get you a victory at the end of the game. Or like big time moments. If you need a buzzer beater, freaking give the ball to Boban with 2 seconds left, get him under the rim. I almost said ring. Get him under the rim, and he'll dunk that mother on everybody. I didn't want to say the F word. It's too early for that.
No, we don't want to get demonetized on everything. And,
not yet.
The FCC is going to be calling us, hey, greatest podcast in the world. You guys can't be dropping F-bombs.
Yeah, can't be doing
You can't be dropping MFs.
Hell no.
All right? But, we'll just move on. Eastern Conference. What do you think? Eastern Conference Finals.
So, this is tough. Because in the beginning of the season, I said Boston with no if, ands, or buts. I thought Boston was easily going to beat everybody, like I alluded to earlier in the podcast, saying how good I thought they were going to be and all that. But I think Toronto is going to beat the Celtics.
Absolutely.
It'll be a close series because I think the talent will start to show in that series that the Celtics are probably a better team, like talent-wise. But Toronto is a better basketball team playing together. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, of course.
Like
and
Boston
they play
is better
defense
talent.
for real.
Yeah, so I think
Boston does too, but Toronto's on another level.
And Toronto, I think because of the fact that they have a top 5 player in the world on their team too, and a very serviceable point guard in Kyle Lowry and a lot of other really good pieces on that team, I think they squeak past the Celtics in a 6 or 7 game series. And I think it'll be a close series at all times. I don't think any team will blow another team out in any of the games. I think it'll be a really fun and good series to watch.
For a basketball fan. For someone who enjoys basketball as an art.
And in the Western Conference, this is hard. This is hard for me. But
honestly, Eastern Conference, I think it's gonna be Raptors, but Raptors gonna win, go to the finals. I think the Warriors are coming out of the West, and we all know how that goes.
Yeah. So what I was getting to there is I think Golden State will probably sweep the Lakers or win in maybe 5, especially if Boogie's there and they have the whole team playing. I just can't think of a logical way that the Lakers can even win 1 game. If they do, hell yeah, that's awesome. But it's not going to happen. And then I think it'll be Golden State versus Toronto. And I think we all know how that's going to go, like Dom just said. I think Golden State wins in maybe 5, 6 games.
Yeah, it could be a gentleman's series.
It'll be competitive, I think.
All the games will be close, I think. I think they're...
Yeah, I don't think Golden State is going to absolutely obliterate them because Toronto's a good team. But I think the Warriors will probably come as the victor every single game.
What I'm hoping is that the Warriors have chemistry problems, or I don't want to say I hope Steph gets injured because that's a terrible thing to say, and I like Steph Curry as a person. I would never wish injury on anyone. But if Steph Curry gets injured, it's the Toronto Raptors have a great chance.
And that would be pretty insane if someone beats the Warriors in the finals. Even if it would be crazy to see, even if all of them got injured, it would still be insane just to see it on the headlines on the internet. Toronto Raptors beat the Golden State Warriors to win the NBA Finals. That would just be insane. I've never been a Raptors fan. I've never liked them until they got Kawhi. I've been starting to like them a little more now because I've always liked Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah, I like the Toronto Raptors.
Yeah,
I like them. I really thought they were gonna make noise when last year when they had that great record. I really thought.
Well, LeBron James was sitting there wanting to destroy them like he always does, and that's what he did. Just being LeBron, you know.
I think, I shouldn't even say they have a great chance if Steph goes down because I think Boogie, man, he's so good. If he comes back at 75% of himself, he's still top 5 center in the NBA.
They're still going to dominate without.
That's scary.
It's not fair, you know. So
absolutely.
But I think one way or another, Golden State will repeat again, unfortunately.
And a somber note to end the show on. What do you guys think? Tell us in the comments. Share, share everything. Post us everywhere. Support your local business. Of course. The greatest podcast of all time. We'll have
another episode for you pretty soon here.
Very soon. Hopefully we'll get it recorded tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll see what we can do here. This was a very fun first episode.
Absolutely, and it went a lot better than I expected.
Yeah, we're great. Well, we're the greatest freaking podcast of all time.
You're so good that you can't even say it.
Yeah, I'm so good I can't even spit out my damn words today. So I'll improve on that. I'll speak better for you guys next time.
We'll work on it.
Don't worry.
Thank you again for tuning in.
Yeah, thank you all very much.
Hell's Gate Podcast. You can find us just about everywhere. Hell's Gate PC specifically on Twitter and Snapchat. Mm-hmm. It's been a lot of fun.
It's been great. I can't wait to do this again with you guys.
We'll be back at you
pretty soon. Yeah, we'll be back very soon.
Very, very soon.
It's been a pleasure. This is just episode 1 of a very, very long amount of episodes that are going to come out for this podcast. So this is just one of many. And it was very fun to do, and I enjoyed it very much. Like I said, it's just 2 buddies in front of a damn microphone talking about sports. We would have this exact conversation behind closed doors with no mic by us, just no one around, just talking about sports. It would be something similar to this.
Let us know what you want us to talk about. Let us know what you enjoy hearing.
Yeah, of course.
Obviously, specifically from us, but in general, what kind of content you like.
Yeah.
We're very open to feedback. We really like when people I know both of us are very big fans of constructive criticism, and that breeds champions.
Oh, and I get that quite a bit.
Oh, yeah, especially for me.
Especially with all these damn mic hiccups I've had throughout the damn show. So,
It's okay.
But we're learning. We're learning.
Yeah, it's kind of
it's a process,
It's definitely a process.
But hey,
it's taken us a long time to get to this point to be the greatest podcast in the world on our first episode. But
we still are the greatest podcast. Joe Rogan, you ain't got nothing on us.
As much as I respect and love Joe Rogan,
nothing on us. We're the greatest podcast of all time. That's all.
Yeah, absolutely.
Of all time.
All right, thank you again for tuning in. Once again, our socials, I've plugged them like 8 times, but I'm going to do it again until you follow us on all platforms. Yeah. And if I see, I'm going to check. And if I see that one of you has followed us on one location and you have the other platforms and you have not followed us, I'm coming to your house personally and I will knock on your door and I will give you an interview and then make you look really bad in that interview.
We will completely squander you on this show. The word of the day, man.
Tony, you used it wrong again.
Did I?
It's okay.
Hey, that's all right. It's still the word of the day.
Next time you come and tune into our podcast, Tony will know the true meaning of the word squandered. Thanks again for coming and listening to us. Yep. Thank you specifically if you made it all the way through. I've been Dominick Panetta.
I am Anthony Militello, and this is Hell's Gate Podcast, baby. Let's get it.
Greatest podcast in the world. Thank you so much for listening.
See you next time.